You saw the title, so you know what's up. Statistics show that New York is the city with the best collection of chocolate chip cookies. Today we're going to take a look at the best spots, learn from them, and build out the most perfect chocolate chip cookie that we can make at home. There are about 1,500 licensed bakeries selling the Triple C in the city, and we finalized the top 5 based on New York Times, Eaters Magazine, TikTok, Reddit, and the opinions of my sugar-addicted friends.
Look at those cookies right now. That is, some would say,
salivating.
the best in New York City.
Before I get to the chocolate chip, I just want to mention that I also tried one of these corn cookies and they're freaking amazing. It's like biting into the corner piece of a moist cornbread, but every bite is a corner piece. The first one's very well known, the iconic culture espresso. I don't like going to Midtown, but this looks too good to pass on. This one's near the station at Bryant Park, is too crowded. There's another one like a block away. You saw in the news segment before, this place is not only celebrated for its exceptional coffee, but also its cookie. Every employee won't stop telling you this, but it's named the best chocolate chip cookie in NYC by Delish. Known for its distinctive dome shape. By dome, they meant bulging in the center. By that logic, my blanket in the morning resembles the architecture of a medieval church. Depressed lady coming in hot with a warm cookie. I do see the dome resemblance here, but it's just like my online dating profile. It's clearly not as tall in real life. Not a lot of Maya reaction, very softly baked. The chocolate sediment is looking pretty good. Has a lot of structural integrity, and the inside is, as you can see, very moist. And they really hooked us up with the chocolate. Extremely buttery, gooey. Every single piece of chocolate in here is like soft. The only complaint is that it's a little bland, like there's no sea salt on it. It has to be underbaked to make it gooey, so you just kind of get like a mush of straight up sugary flavors with nothing to balance it. It's a 7. I think it's supposed to be had with a strong cup of coffee. This next one is called 7 Grams Cafe. 7 grams of what? They have a couple locations, but this one I went to is in Tribeca. It's pretty close to Washington Square Park over there. And this seems to be like the most hype right now on TikTok. This girl describes the taste in a really articulate and poetic way. Yeah, so you know that's where it's at. As you can tell by my face in the reflection, I'm very excited about this. First impression, these cookies just look significantly better than the Culture Espresso ones. It's probably the thickness that everybody desires in a cookie, and they even have iPads for the antisocial. Putting "I'm gooey" in large letters on the back of a cookie is like driving a Lamborghini to compensate for my small penis. This one, I don't know why, it just feels like a real cookie. It's way more baked, thicker, and heavier for some reason. Very sturdy, well baked. You can see the bottom and the sides got a little crispy here. This is what my mom's cookie is supposed to look like, but it never does. I expected the center to be soft. I think because I asked the cookie to go, so they didn't warm it up for me. Center's clearly underbaked, we just need a microwave. There's so much chocolate in it, but it's not too overwhelming. Everything blends in so well and the flavor is way more complex. Sometimes I think, it's just a chocolate chip cookie, how can it be so different? But man, this is so much better than the last one. I'll give it a 9.1 out of 10. This is Dominic and Sel, the place with the cronuts. I have a bunch of stuff here. This looks like a burger from Floopy Land. Here's the cookie collection. It's called Chocolate Chunk, but where are the chunks at? It's the thinnest cookie so far. The bottom is baked very unevenly. I think they didn't get the oven temperature right. And that is more apparent when we split it open, because the middle looks like a dead dough. It's not crumbly, like it's just a piece of mush. It actually tastes worse than the Pillsbury pre-made ones. I didn't know it was possible. It tastes like my mom's cookie. I'll give it a 4 out of 10. I looked up this cookie online. He made a tutorial on how to make it, which is weird because in the video, like look at this cookie. It came out so perfect. The thickness, structure, moistness is all there. This teaches us that employee training is the key to business success. Look, even bugs don't want them. My friend got the strawberry vanilla cronut of the month, and it's pretty fire, so just stick with cronuts when you come to Dominic and Sel. Funny Face is right across the street from the famous Levain. While the tourists are lining up for it, many locals claim that the ones at Funny Face are a lot better. While the goods from two bakeries pretty much look identical, just like a tech startup, you get better hardware for cheaper. Once again with a depressed lady on the back, this one has a lot of Maya reaction evenly distributed throughout. Golden brown areas on the front side and a great view from the back side. I've had the classic chocolate chip from Levain many times, and it's always very crumbly because they severely underbake the center, so they take it out of the oven before the outside even takes shape. So it's amazing how this one, the inside is, you know, I don't need to repeat myself, but the outside edges get so crispy. I'm gonna have to give it a 9.4 out of 10 here. Definitely my favorite one since I moved to New York. We've been here before, it's called LaMasari. My friends tell me only attractive people have brunch here, so I try to avoid it because I don't want to feel out of place. And when I looked up their chocolate chip cookie on TikTok, I noticed a very distinct pattern.
Which means it's time to start my hunt for the best chocolate chip cookie.
Apparently this is the best cookie in New York. We are at LaMasari.
This is apparently the best cookie in New York City.
The best chocolate chip cookie in New York City.
I don't want to be an asshole or anything because any sort of profiling is wrong, but I have a hunch that I might not fit in when I go there. What pisses me off about this place is that they wouldn't let you get the cookie unless you have a meal there. I'm sorry for the emotion. So I have to pay for this stupid ass meal to pay for this stupid ass cookie. So worth it, man. Should've gotten more. I took it to go and been walking for a little bit and it's still very warm. It seemed like such a perfect shape. It has a good thickness and it sounds great. The back is a little charred, but we're gonna look past that. The cookie's baked so well that it holds its shape. It's not crumbly or anything, and you can see in the middle there's a very thin layer of milk chocolate, or maybe it's hazelnut spread. That surprise in the mouth and the balance that comes with it is probably what makes everybody think it's the best cookie in the city. The contrast of the sea salt and sweet gooey dough and the milk dark chocolates working together to create this complex flavor profile. More depth than the other ones too. I'll give it a 9.5. I think this might be the best chocolate chip cookie I've ever had in my life. However, that is very likely about to change because we're gonna learn from all these shops and online knowledge to create our own recipe that even goes further beyond LaMasari. And just letting you know, I'm about to put in a lot of effort. To reduce the good to the simplest form, these are probably the most essential ingredients to a chocolate chip cookie. Combination of a little flour, sugar, and brown sugar, fat, eggs, which we're supposed to cream together first. What differentiates an S-tier cookie to a C-tier cookie is in the quality of ingredients and the preparation techniques. I watched probably every single chocolate chip cookie video on YouTube. They all claim to be the best, by the way. Some ingredients matters less, mostly just extra pointers. The common denominators are these ingredients, how we put them together, the timing of which that happens, and the state of existence when they do encounter each other matters a lot. We have to establish a very solid foundation before we sprinkle on the chocolate chips over here. And finally, I decided to use a combination recipe from Levain and Tasty and the techniques of Alvin's O. How do we find the highest quality of ingredients for this recipe? Since more views means better video, by extension of this NPC logic, more expensive would translate to premium quality. Happier Groceries is the most expensive food mart in the city, the New York equivalent of Erewhon in LA, full of meaningless smoothies and people walking around just to get a soda. So I'm gonna go in there and blow a big load of money. Immediately I'm hit with a $16 butter and some $17 almond milk that looks like it was discovered underground. And here's an organic free range for $9.49, and here's half a dozen for $9.49. $30 small bag of pistachio. Is pistachio gold or something? You know what else is gold? The $18 bag of chocolate chips. I couldn't find just regular sugar, so I'm just gonna use the one I have. I'm totally not cheaping out or anything. Here's a selection of bougie chocolate with like dates and pollen. And the packaging is this nice. I expect it to make me immortal. Here's the only comfort I find in this place. Type of is always there for me. If I was a bakery with this food cost, I would be selling it for like $1,000. We're using 2 sticks of the butter, which is $9. How can you call yourself an elite baked goods if you're not made with brown butter? People who use brown butter, like me and my sister, think that they have exquisite taste and they put a lot of effort into their baked goods. But in reality, they're just unemployed because this thing takes a while. But it's important to give dessert depth, otherwise it's just sweetness, you know? We're gonna whip the butter back into its soft and creamy form. From all the videos I've watched, I think the temperature of the butter determines the thickness of the cookie. When the fat is too liquidy, it just comes out flat like Dominic and Cells. When a task is too dreadful, we gotta take out the superior tool. Once it's soft and fluffy like this, we can move on to the next step, which is creaming into it 250 grams of brown sugar and 150 grams of regular sugar. We'll beat everything together completely by hand. And we use 2 eggs from the half a dozen egg, that's $10, so almost $2 per egg. We'll beat it in one at a time to prevent splitting. We want the mixture to be a little fluffy like this. Time for dessert MSG. I've never touched a real vanilla in my life. I don't know why, but this reminds me to take out radioactive chicken to defrost for dinner later. To get the seed out instead of stroking it, we're gonna make a split in the middle and then just scrape down with a bit of force to extract everything. We'll do 3 more, mix that in, and then we're ready for the dry ingredients. It's supposed to be 3 cups of flour, which is 380 grams, a teaspoon of baking powder, and half a teaspoon of baking soda. Forgot about them, which means I have to pay a heavy price later. The chocolate box makes me feel like I'm opening like a brand new iPhone or something. The branding is on point. This other one with the front and back looks like a piece of art. Along with the dark chocolate chips, we'll cut it into chunks and throw it out in. Folding them into a thick dough is kind of difficult, but it's about to get worse. And before that, to go above and beyond, I have all the way shipped from Germany a pure hazelnut spread. We'll scoop out a thin layer and fit it into muffin molds. Freeze them into discs to stuff them into the cookie like LaMasari. We'll also do some pistachio spread to imitate the Dubai chocolate thing. So put this in the freezer while we wait for the cookie dough to rest in the fridge for 12 hours. At this point, I remember the baking powder and soda and I try to knead it into the dough. It was really quite the workout. On the second day, the spread is frozen solid. We'll enclose it with the cookie dough, turn it into these giant balls. Repeat the same steps for the pistachio ones too. Then we'll cover it and rest in the fridge for another 24 hours. All this resting is to giving time for all the ingredients to settle into each other so it tastes better. I don't know if it's true or not, but all the coolest chefs on the internet do that, so I'll follow. One thing I forgot to mention, on the baking day, I actually moved them into the freezer for 6 hours because the frozen dough leads to taller cookies. I have a limited amount of trays and I want to spread the cookies as far as possible so while they're baking they don't become one. I also preheated this pizza stone for an hour so the bottom of the cookie will experience that retained heat, further consolidating the structure. After 8 minutes of baking at 375, they're looking very tall. That's a good sign. We'll rotate the plates so the convection is evenly distributed on all sides. Baking for another 7 will take it out to cool. The big ones kind of collapsed. My hypothesis is that when we opened the oven door, it lost so much heat, so it started spreading and melting before it finished baking. So for the next batch, we're gonna keep the oven door closed at 375 for 15 minutes the whole time. You see how the second batch, the color is a little bit uneven, but it took on that dome shape and is so much thicker than the previous one. These are the ones with no stuffing. The texture and the gooiness is out there, but too much dark chocolate, not so much a balance. I think we did a good job with the dough, so I have high hopes for the stuffed ones. This is clearly way too big. I feel like I'm cutting into a cake. We need a smaller mold for those discs. Other than that, this cross section is looking pretty insane. Like a meat lover's pizza equivalent of a chocolate lover cookie. It's falling apart only because I didn't let it cool down for long enough. I ran out of patience, so let's give it a taste and rate it 1 through 10. You can tell that I started swinging back and forth, not knowing what to say. The dough got crispy on the edges and gooey in the center. The 70% plus dark chocolate evenly distributed throughout is such a nice contrast to the thick layer of hazelnut spread in the middle. For my whole life, I believed that Nutella is the GOAT. But after this, I'm gonna have to do some soul searching. This one is not as good because the pistachio spread is not sweet at all. So it's pretty much just a bitter chocolate and nut butter cookie. I think the hazelnut ones will be a perfect cookie, but I have 2 biggest downfalls. The first one is definitely its size. It's too big, it doesn't hold together, difficult to bake evenly, and even more difficult to finish one. Not for me though. But I blame it on the red mold I used earlier. It's just too big. Technically not my fault. The second biggest downfall is I forgot to sprinkle salt on it. Yeah, that's my fault. So deducting those points, I'll give it an 8 out of 10. But I encourage all of you to make the smaller versions at home. I think it'll turn out very good. I've been eating cookies non-stop today and that frozen pack of radioactive chicken breast finally defrosted, so I boiled it and we're just gonna eat it like that. Life is about balance, you know. This is gonna be the FutureCanoe diet of the week. It's called New York City structured water. It sounds like it came out as a runoff from a construction site or something. The sewage residue, happier, grosser, protein cookie together. Why is it so perfectly black? It does taste very industrial. Now, like Fiji from 50 years in the future. With this cookie. Let's see if it's better than my 50-hour cookie that I made yesterday. What the fuck? But this is good. It's so moist. Maybe people summon demon with it. It doesn't have an ingredient label. Beautiful part of this product. Dark things. Just close my eye and let it slide down the throat. You seem a little uncomfortable there. A quick Google search showed me that this water is full of decomposition of organic matter from animals and plants. So I basically just drank a bottle of dead organism particle tea. Here's the recipe, by the way, if you want to give it a try. Before I started making this video, I thought the idea of overfixating on a cookie is kind of silly, ridiculous even. But when I started putting maximum effort into the dough, the same attitude carried over to other aspects of my life. Like I subconsciously put more attention to detail into the editing, and even my daily routine of studying and exercising got more organized and efficient. Making the best chocolate chip cookie is more than just food. It's a choice to aim at perfection, to make things better. For that, I'll increase the score to a 10 out of 10, and I hope you get to try it. Alright, thank you.